Hello friends, hope you are well. Welcome to youtube.com, places of moving pictures, sounds, and of course, buffering. Welcome to another episode of the Dirt Report. We have a lot of stories for you today. We might have to smash through them real fast, or at least try. Knowing me, it'll take a little bit of time. So today we have the Telstra defense project not going to plan again. Then Telstra calls the NBN not profitable, suffering a 6% fall in income again, but at the same time, gigabit plans are a hit and 5G bidding has been announced. Then on the international news, we have app developers at war with Apple, and Microsoft is back in the game with a new foldable phone. I bet you're excited, so make sure to tap that like button and subscribe if you haven't already. YouTube actually tells me that 70% of people who watch these weekly shows are not. How crazy is that? Let's get started. Telstra is having a bit of a hard time still. They seem to be holding a grudge since the day the NBN was announced, and that grudge seems to be transferring into other things they do. Back in 2012, Telstra won a tender to replace a fixed-line communication system for the Defence Force. They were supposed to build and connect over 300 sites across the nation and then remote divisions via secure satellite systems. All this was supposed to be one secure, fast-functioning network called the Defence Terrestrial Communication Network, DTCN. While plenty of delays have been had in this project, this week a Freedom of Information request by IT News has showed that the project has received a medium to low delivery success rating, second lowest possible, and it is unlikely to be completed without major redesigns, budgeting adjustments, and timeframes. So Telstra is unlikely to deliver a completed project anytime soon, or at all. Kind of like how long the NBN took to build. Telstra has been trying their own hand in building a network and having plenty of issues. How does the saying go? Don't throw modems if you have a house of glass. If you want more details, IT News has compiled a history of the project over the last few years. It certainly isn't the first time the project faced delays, so I'll post the links below. Now, the government seems to continue throwing money at Telstra. Back in February, they gave them another $400+ million to get the project live, but even now they have yet to reach a fully operational capability, and it's looking like the entire spend is close to $1.8 billion. So far, it seems only 11 out of the 353 sites have been completed, though yet to be ticked off as accepted by the client. So can it even be counted as completed? Now, my thoughts is that if they need more manpower, why didn't Telstra keep that staff they so readily let go a few months back and get them to work on this project? But I'm sure there are more intricacies to this. I bet there are a lot of contractors involved, but it does sound like Telstra is just not coping with the pressure. Let me know below your thoughts. Is the T22 strategy that Telstra has been so wholeheartedly following reducing its own capabilities as a network builder? And while on the Telstra train to nowhere, this week Andy Penn again called out the NBN as the reason for their failing business. Now, failing business might be an exaggeration on my part, but Penn certainly made it out to be quite the disaster. While the NBN posted good results for the last 3 months, which we will analyze in a separate video this week, so make sure you are subscribed for that, Penn says the NBN is still unprofitable and requires a large restructure to the wholesale pricing model. In a statement, Penn said that the NBN wholesale pricing remains the largest negative impact on our fixed line business. He added that it's likely that RSPs will move their customers over to wireless connections such as 5G because the NBN is just not making enough money. He also added that in Telstra's case, the profitability of reselling the NBN is negligible at best, and that is not sustainable. We have discussed NBN wholesale pricing in the past, and the amount that NBN charges is substantial, to the point that some RSPs don't provide the whole lineup of plans available anymore, especially the low-end ones, because the profit of them is so low, except the amount of actual effort you need to put in to connect this customer is high. What's happened here is that Telstra used to charge whatever they wanted, as they owned the lines, and made a healthy profit on everything. The shareholders got used to it, Telstra had it good. Their business was also tied into many other ventures and projects, tenders and services. Now, with the NBN, the RSPs who have dedicated to just reselling the NBN product, and so their entire business structure, expenses, amount of people is geared towards that small profit margin available on the NBN, Telstra is not. Their overheads just don't work if they resell the NBN. So for them, selling 5G connections is a much better resolution to profitability, as they don't have to pay as much to the middleman, NBN. What I would like to add is that all other RSPs have been able to build a new business off the back of NBN, but Telstra is having a very hard time to steer their ship into fitting with the new norm. So I get what Penn is getting at, but also I bet he was laughing his socks off when he sold the aging copper lines to NBN Co. Let me know what you think about Penn and Telstra having a go about NBN's pricing. After all, NBN Co needs to make money to pay back the loans from the government. I'd personally like to see some profit go back to the government, and I suppose Telstra's 6% fall in income for the financial year of 2020 to 26.2 billion and net profit of 1.8 billion for the financial year is not helping either. Let me know your thoughts below. Let's move on. Now, in saying all that above, NBN is no saint, and they too have let over 800 people go, which in itself is crazy, as the NBN, in my opinion, needs plenty of upgrades and work to be done. Sure, it's now operating as a wholesaler, but they need to also take into account that the work will never really stop. Upgrading and fixing is part of life for a project like this that deployed obsolete infrastructure in the first place. And so the proof is in the pudding, or rather sales figures. Earlier this week, some total connection numbers have been released for the ultra-fast NBN speed tier. The eye-watering 1,000 down and 50 up, well, for us Australians anyway. It seems that well over 5,000 people have signed up to such plans in total since launch. Now, Aussie Broadband is providing the majority of these connections. However, the only other two providers that have such speeds is Superloop and Lontel, and they too have some connections. Let me know below if you're one of the people on the 1,000 down plan. What speeds are you actually hitting in reality? I'd love to know. Let's move on to 5G. Now, 5G is touted to change the face of our country. Some say it's caused COVID, some say Bill Gates did it. In any case, 5G is here to stay. This week, the government, in an announcement called Communications Policy Objectives for the allocation of the 26 GHz band, said they will hold an auction in 2021 for the next band of the 26 GHz spectrum. Back in 2018, the 3.6 GHz band was the first band made available in Australia for the deployment of 5G following international developments. The 26 GHz band has been identified as the next band in Australia for the deployment of 5G services. Now, spectrum in the 26 GHz band is expected to be complementary to holdings in the low and mid-range bands. While these lower bands can be used to provide the broader coverage, the 26 GHz band, known as the millimeter wave band, enables the extremely fast, high-capacity services that will characterize 5G. Now, Minister for Communication, Cybersecurity and the Arts, Paul Fletcher, said 5G mobile technology is a critical enabler of modern digital economy and will be vital for such applications as robotics, automated vehicles, advanced manufacturing, and the remote operations of heavy vehicles and equipment in resource and construction. It will also support the use of sensory technology to also important applications such as networks of soil moisture monitoring on farms to allow improved yields while using less water. Within a set area such as a farm or a factory, 5G can connect 10 times the number of devices as 4G, which will support the Internet of Things. Now, I have linked the announcement below, so let's see how this affects the rollout of 5G in the next few years.
Also, the government has set limits on how much each provider can actually have of the 26mm range spectrum, meaning there will be no likelihood of a monopoly of one provider having all the 5G to themselves.
Now, let's jump into some international tidbits. Fortnite has been removed from the Apple and Google Store for breaking their rules, leading to Fortnite developers Epic Games to sue Apple, but also make this really funny ad that basically takes what Apple used to say and throw that big hammer at the screen. In any case, I'll link that below for you guys to have a bit of a laugh at, and we're going to talk about it on the State of the Beanstalk on Saturday. Now, this has been a long-running issue with Apple demanding 30% cut from apps that sell a service. The rule of thumb is that if you want to have an app that has a subscription service like Netflix, you don't want to pay 30% to Apple. Then you cannot include any links or comments where to buy that subscription. So it has to just be a blank app that you just log into. Now, Google does the same thing, but they seem to be not as strict, though in this case it seems they were very, very unhappy and they did cut Fortnite out too. Overall, Apple has always been very strict about this. A little while back removing an alternative email app, even removing Microsoft's xCloud gaming app for their store too, though it's still live on the Google Store. Now, Apple is being investigated under antitrust laws, and Epic Games Store will not be the first company to sue. Then Google is being done over being a monopoly, and well, a perfect storm is brewing. You can see a lot of changes coming to the app stores very soon. In fact, Amazon's Audible gets around it by making you buy credits that you then use to buy books rather than money, and if you want to buy those credits, you have to do it through their website. To add to this, Apple has been doing enterprise deals with other companies, reducing that 30% cut a lot lower. Now, many app developers just cannot justify the 30% cut, so they have to go out of the way to avoid it, and in the end, it causes poor customer experience for you, the person who might use that app. So that's just the cost of inclusion of Apple's ecosystem, or is this a draconian anti-consumer way of making money? Let me know below what you think. Now, on our last topic, and I believe this is great news, Microsoft releases a new foldable phone. Now, while Microsoft's Nokia acquisition did not help anyone and the death of Microsoft's smartphone OS was not surprising, they don't seem to just give up. Microsoft doesn't have the best track record of new ventures. The Zune is now a long-running joke. Bing is useless, but holds 6% of the market, probably because it's annoying to change and some people don't even know how to or don't even notice. Failures aside, I would like to add that the Surface laptop lineup was not a hit at first, but today it's a major market player. At nearly 2,000 Australian dollars, the dual-screen flip tablet-like phone will either make you love it or hate it. Well, it's exciting and certainly looks pretty cool. We will know more once it has actually been released to the public and reviewed properly. After all, remember what happened with Samsung and the recall of the folding phone and even the recall of the exploding phone, the Note, a little while back. Let me know below if that's a phone you'd like to get your hands on. And on that bombshell, we have to end this episode. Thank you very much for watching. Hope you enjoyed this week's episode, and I hope to see you all again next week. Remember, if you like this video, then tap that like button. And if you'd like to see more, then please consider subscribing to the channel and supporting Aussie YouTube content. Thanks for watching, and bye!